Hey y'all, so sometimes fractions are way too big, like this one, 2,500 over 5,000. It's like writing an essay in response to a text message instead of just writing a sentence, like that. I'm going to show you in this video how to reduce your fractions from big number fractions like this to smaller, simpler fractions like 1/2. So let's start with a more simpler one and work our way up. We have 2/4, and this fraction can be reduced. One reason I know it can be reduced is because the numerator and the denominator are not prime numbers and they're both even. So what we're going to do is try to find the greatest common factors of 2 and 4. Let's list them. So when we're finding factors, we just multiply out what the factors are. 2 is a result of 1 times 2, and that's it, because 2 is prime and it can only be divisible by 1 and itself. And 4 is 1 times 4 and also 2 times 2. So they have greatest common factors of 2. Now what we're going to do is go back to the fraction and divide the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor, 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that is our new fraction, and this fraction is completely reduced because 1 and 2 are prime, and they do not have common factors. Here's another one, 6/9. 6 and 9 are not prime, so let us find their factors. 1 times 6, 2 times 3, 9 is 1 times 9, and 3 times 3, 2 is not a factor of 9. 3 times 3, and that's it. Okay, what factors do they have in common? They have 1 in common. They have 3 in common. What's the greatest out of both? 3. So what we're going to do is divide the numerator by 3 and the denominator by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now, this is the reduced fraction because 2 and 3 are prime and they do not have common factors. So we're done here. However, I would like to point something out. When we divide it by 3, 3 is a factor of 6, right? And the result is 2. That is going to be what's in our numerator. 3 is a factor of 9, and when we divide 9 by 3, we get 3. And that's what goes in our denominator. So if you ever forget what the division is, you just look at the number you circled, and the number next to it is what goes in the place of the fraction after you divide. 10 over 45, a little bit more difficult. So we got 10 over 45. Let's find its factors. 10. 1 times 10, 2 times 5, and that's it. Once you get to numbers that are like really close to each other, 2 and 5 are close to each other. 10 is not divisible by 3. If you want to check in the calculator, you're going to get a decimal. 4, nope. And then the next one is 5, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So you're done with your factors here. Then there's 45. You got 1 times 45. 2 times something? No, 2 is not a factor of 45. 3, yes. 3 times 15 is 45. 4, nope. 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, so we have common factors of 1 and 5. The greatest of those two are 5. So we can divide 10 by 5, 45 by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 45 divided by 5 is 9. And you're done. 2 and 9 do not have common factors. You're done. Let's try another, 6/12. Some of you may be able to reduce this immediately, but let's go through the steps. So we got 6. Let's find the factors of 6. 1 times 6, 2 times 3, and then 12 is 1 times 12. 2 times 6 3 times 4, and that's it. Now, they have 1 in common, they have 2 in common, they have 3 in common, and they also have 6 in common. They have all these numbers in common. Which is the greatest out of all? Well, it's 6. 6 is the greatest common factor of 6 and 12. Let's divide by 6 here, divide by 6 here. 6 divided by 6 is 1. That's the number next to 6, the number we circled. And 12 divided by 6 is 2. 1/2 is our reduced fraction. Half. 1/2 is half. If we look at our original fraction and remember our multiplication, we know that 6 is half of 12. So it makes sense for 6/12 to be reduced to 1/2. One other thing I want to point out is you may wonder why I always write 1 times the number. 1 times 6, 1 times 12. This is because sometimes that number is the actual factor that's both of the numbers have in common. 6 is the factor that both 6 and 12 have in common, and that's why I always write it. If I just say, 1 times 6 is 6, let's go to 2, 2 times 3, then I may forget that 6 is the actual greatest common factor. And look at all these other numbers that are in common. We got 1, 2, and 3. That's a lot to stand out to you if you don't have 6 there. It's just something to point out. I always write 1 times the number. Always, always. Just so I don't leave anything out. Stepping it up, we got 32 over 36. Let's find the factors. What do we notice about these two numbers? Well, they're both even. So that's something to point out. 1 times 32. 2 times 16. 3 times something? No. 4 times 8. Yes. How about 36? 1 times 36. 2 times 18. 3 times 12. And 4 times 9. A little bit more. Okay. They have 1 in common, 2 in common, 3 in common, 4 in common. That's it. What's the greatest? 4. Okay, so the greatest common factor of 32 and 36 is 4. Let's divide. 32 divided by 4 is 8. 36 divided by 4 is 9. It's that other number. It's 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And our answer is 8/9. We're done. Now, I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to assume that some of you probably would take another route instead of finding the greatest common factor. You might start dividing by 2, because remember I said 32 and 36 are both even? Yeah. If we divide by 2, what happens? 32 divided by 2, well, 32 divided by 2, let me do this a different color. 32 divided by 2 is 16. And 36 divided by 2 is 18. This is not a reduced fraction because you can divide again. These are both composite numbers, which mean that they have numbers that make up, that multiply to get this number before, besides 1 in itself. So we got to divide again. These are both even, so we can also divide by 2. See what happens. 16 divided by 2, that is 8. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Okay. So this is another way of doing it. It took us 2 times of dividing by 2 to get to 8/9. When the first time we did it, we found the factors of 32 and 36, pointed out that they had a common factor or greatest common factor of 4, and just straight out divided by 4 to get our 8/9. So 2 ways you can do it. Neither way is wrong. I prefer greatest common factor because it seems a little bit more cleaner and less hassle. I don't have to think again, wait, is this reduced all the way? Oh, I got to do it again. What do these two numbers have in common? Got to reduce again. So whatever floats your boat. However, I will say that there's going to get to a point where you have like a huge enormous number, and dividing by 2 is just not going to hit it. You're going to be dividing by 2 for the rest of your days. Because it's going to be like 486 divided by 608. You know what I'm saying? And if you keep dividing by 2, wow, you're going to be doing that for a long time. So finding the greatest common factor is going to help. Finding a factor a big factor that you know is common for both numbers will help. Try that number. 486 divided by 608. This is a more challenging one. 486 divided by 608. Okay, so listing the factors and dividing by 2 is going to be long for both problems. 486 is 1 times 46, of course. 2 times what? I'm using my calculator. 46 divided by 2 is 243. 486 divided by 3 is 162. 486 divided by 4 is 121.5, so we're not going to use that. 486 divided by 5, that's not going to work because a number is only divisible by 5 if it ends in a 5 or a 0. Our number ends in a 6, so it's not divisible by 5. 486 divided by 7. Nope, you get a decimal. 486 divided by 8, get a decimal. 486 divided by 9. 9 times 54. 486 divided by 9 is 54. 486 divided by 10, no. 11, nope. 12, no. 13, no. 14, no. 15, nope. We get a decimal. 16, no. 17, no. 18, ooh, 18. 46 divided by 18 is 27. And I think that's probably it. 46 divided by 19. No, so I'm going to stop there. There may be more, but I don't think so. Because 18 and 27 are very close as multiplication. Okay, now 608. 608. 1 times 608. 2 times something is definitely 2 times something because 608 is even. 608 divided by 2 is 304. 608 divided by 3, that's a decimal. 608 divided by 4 is 152. 608 divided by 5, no. 6, no. Decimal. 608 divided by 7, no. Decimal. 608 divided by 8, cool. 76. 608 divided by 9, nope. Not 10. 608 divided by 11. 608 divided by 12, no. 608 divided by 13. 608 divided by 14, 15, nope. 16, ooh, 15. No. 16. 608 divided by 16 is 38. 608 divided by 17, nope. 18, no. 19. 608 divided by 19 is 32. And I'm going to stop there. So, you know what? Seems like the common factor is 2. Isn't that interesting? The greatest common factor. 1. Yep. Even though we went pretty high, we found out that the greatest common factor was 2 all along. 243 over 304 of this randomly picked number. Literally. Just keep in mind that sometimes this is not going to always work. It's weird how I would pick the number that would work in a situation just dividing by 2. But keep in mind. 30 over 48. Let's find the common factors. 30, you got 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. 48, we got 1 times 48, we got 2 times 24, 3 times 16, 4 times 12, 6 times 8. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, and 6 in common. 6 is the greatest common factor, so we will divide by 6. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 48 divided by 6 is 8. And we're done. Cool. You can also divide by 2. Dividing by 2 will get you 30 divided by 2 is 15. 48 divided by 2, that is 24. 15 and 24, do they have common factors? They have a common factor of 3. So we can divide it by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 2 ways of doing it. 2 ways of doing it. You get the same answer. Okay, so now we are back to the number we started with. 2,500 over 5,000. We're going to reduce this to 1/2. You may be able to see some ways we can do this, how it works out. I'm going to walk you through it. 2,500 and 5,000. Well, when we look at 2,500, we can see that it's actually 25 times 100. If we look at 5,000, 5,000 is actually 5,000. So that's the same as 50 times 100. So 100, we know for sure, is a common factor of 2,500 and 5,000, or 5,000. So let's do that division first to get our numbers smaller and easier for us to work with from there. 2,500 divided by 100 is going to leave us with 25. 5,000 divided by 100 is going to leave us with 50. Okay, that's a little bit easier to deal with, less intimidating. 25 has factors of 1 times 25 and 5 times 5. 50 has factors of 1 times 50, 2 times 25, and 5 times 10. What is the greatest common factor of 25 and 50? It is 25. See why I always write 1 times a number? Now we're going to divide. 25 times 25, 25 divided by 25, 50 divided by 25. 25 divided by 25 is 1. 50 divided by 25 is 2. 1/2. And you're done. Now you can try some on your own in the Got It quiz.